crap, I gotta get the yawn out of the way. Because you show me you're yawning and it's contagious, that's why I yawn, because I saw somebody out there yawning. It's true. I have a cricket joining us again tonight, so if you hear the lovely harmonious sounds of little legs rubbing together, it's not me. I'm not chirpy, 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 chirpy. No, it's Mr. Cricket who's down here again. And if you hear a smashing noise, it's because I set mouse traps because I thought I saw a mouse the other night. I saw a shadow. I don't know if I was hallucinating. You ever have that hallucination where you're like, did I see something? Was that? Don't know. I've been hallucinating for a long time, but that's not any different than just normal. Just saying. How's everybody doing tonight? Hope they're doing well. It's Monday. It rained. It rained for the first time in weeks. The ground was happy. The grass is dead. My bushes are dead. Trees are dead. So rain was good. I wasn't fully enjoying it because I got soaked, but that's all right. It happens. Episode 114 on September the 22nd. 90-something days till Christmas. So now we're gearing up toward that holiday season, right? First day of fall. And it felt fall today. First time in a while. All right, so everyone doing well? I got some stuff. I was like, wow, I'm not finding a lot of things, and then I found more stuff. It just happens. And I read a lot tonight. I did a lot of reading about things. So I may expound on some stories. Sorry. Oh, crap. Sorry. Again, one of you's yawning out there, and you're doing it to me. All right, we'll start with births and deaths, and we'll go into the history and musical things that have happened between now, today, all the way back to, I believe, 1290. We're going back as early as 1290 for this one. You'll see. Born on this day, Peter Jones of Public Image Limited, PIL. Johnny Lydon, Johnny Rotten. I've told this story. One of my very first gigs ever working for the radio station was a meet and greet with Public Image Limited at like the Hara Arena. And Johnny Lydon, Johnny Rotten was like, "Oi, wanker!" He's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Ah." It was just, I was not prepared for the just onslaught of Johnny Lydon backstage after the show. But it was fun. It was fine. It was my job or anything, and I was not traumatized beyond the fact that I just thought it was hilarious that he was just like, "Wanker!" And I was like, oh my God, I'm a radio guy. I'm not a wanker. Well, clearly I was. Jeanette Napolitano of Concrete Blonde. Now, Jeanette Napolitano actually was a huge fan of the radio station. She came by a bunch of times, and she would hang around. When she was in town, she would actually come and hang out at the radio station. I became friends with Jeanette Napolitano and talked to her when her home out in California. Really, really nice human. She is a good person. And again, love the band too. So happy birthday to Jeanette Napolitano tonight. Also today's birthday, Tony Basil. Do we know Tony Basil? She did that song, Mickey. Oh, Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind. Hey, Mickey. So Tony Basil was actually a choreographer. She choreographed two of David Bowie's tours. I think one was Ziggy Stardust and the other one was another one. Mickey went to number one in 1982, I believe, 1982. That was the hit song, Mickey. But yeah, she was actually known as like a dance choreographer, and she did two of David Bowie's tours. Like she choreographed the whole thing, which is fun. Completely did not know this. I did not know this until tonight. I just no clue. Birthday of David Coverdale from Whitesnake. He was the lead singer of Deep Purple. I did not know that. I had no idea that that's where he came from. I just thought Whitesnake. Okay, David Coverdale, great. Never in my wildest didn't pay attention. I mean, I knew Deep Purple, but I didn't know band names. That's where DJs. It was a separation of church and state. I liked music, and DJs knew all the trivia about the bands, and I was just like, oh, great, that's a great song. We should be playing it. but didn't know that kind of stuff. So yes, David Coverdale, lead singer of Deep Purple as well as Whitesnake. Mind blown. Gotta move that. Mind blown. Did not know. Completely unknown. If you knew that, you're a better man or woman than me, because I was unaware completely of that fact. It's just one of those dumb things that are like, oh, wrinkle my brain. Who knew? Nick Cave of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds birthday today as well, September the 22nd. Also, Joan Marie Larkin. I love rock and roll. Joan Jett, birthday today. Who doesn't love Joan Jett? The godmother of punk. I believe that's what she is, or the mother of punk or something. Godmother of punk. I think that was what she was called. Anyway, I thought that would be Deborah Harry of Blondie, but, I'm not going to make assumptions about who's the godmother and who's the mother. Titles are just titles. Nobody cares. I mean, you do, but I was never hung up on titles. There's something that I didn't care about. If someone at the office was like, I want to be named, I'm like, sure, you're named that. You're not getting a raise, but you can be whatever job title you want. I mean, right? It's sure. Sounds prestigious. Go tell your friends you got a promotion. You got a new title. Matt Sharp of Weezer. Adam Lazzara of Taking Back Sunday. And this is the one that's from the birthday from 1290, Bilbo Baggins. I guess J.R.R. Tolkien of the Lord of the Rings Hobbit had a birthday, and today is his birthday, September the 22nd. Apparently, 1290. He was born in Shire something. 1290. So again, another fictional character having a birthday. Look, I don't make this stuff up. I might, but I don't usually make it up, okay? I try not to add my own inflection of facts that aren't true into it. We have enough of that already. Left us on this day, George C. Scott, Dr. Strangelove. He was that general in Dr. Strangelove. If you've never seen Dr. Strangelove, go watch it. It's funny. It's just one of those ridiculous movies that Peter Sellers was in. Peter Sellers plays multiple roles. He was the Pink Panther, the original Pink Panther, Peter Sellers. Gordon Jump died on this day. Gordon Jump, you're like, who the hell is Gordon Jump? You know who he is? He's Mr. Carlson from WKRP in Cincinnati. That's why we have to recognize him. Come on, man. WKRP in Cincinnati. We talked about that. Radio guy, Mr. Carlson. Also, now this one was weird. I was like, wait a second. Road Warrior Animal, Joseph Laurinaitis. And I was like, wait, Laurinaitis? That sounds really familiar. So I went and Googled it. So Road Warrior Animal, Joseph Laurinaitis, WWE 3 times record holder for like tag team belt holder in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's the dad of James Laurinaitis. James Laurinaitis played for the Ohio State University football team, as well as went on to play for the St. Louis Rams. When they were St. Louis Rams, they went to play for the New Orleans Saints. So yes, I was like, wait, Laurinaitis sounds like such a weird name, and I was like, could he be? And yes, he was. And I kind of knew that. I was like, wait, yeah, I think his dad was a professional wrestler. But yeah, there you go. James Laurinaitis. Dad, Joseph Laurinaitis, passed away on this day. And that's it. Not a lot of people died today. It was not a ton of birthdays, some, and not a very, very few on the Grim Reaper's day. Definitely a Grim Reaper day off for famous people, which is fine. The Grim Reapers like to take days off, that happens. Take days off, right? All right, so I got lots and lots and lots of stuff. 2, 3, wow, I've got like 3.5 pages. 3.5 pages, so I'll keep you busy for at least a good steady half hour. So sit back, relax, and learn trivia about music and movies and stars and musicians. Mostly musicians and music. 1980, John Lennon and Yoko Ono signed with Geffen Records. Their own deal, John and Yoko. This was that day. So this was after the Beatles were no longer the Beatles. And John and Yoko are now there. And why did the Beatles break up? Was it John because of Yoko? I don't know. Just saying. I've heard rumor. Could be rumor. Could be innuendo. 1997. Yeah, 1997. That was a big jump. Elton John, Candle in the Wind, is released, a tribute to Princess Diana, the Princess of Wales. Yeah, I didn't go into any details on that. I was like, okay, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Sure, whatever. Yeah, amazing. Perfect. I didn't see where it ranked or any of that stuff. Okay. 2009, NCIS LA premieres with Chris O'Donnell and LL Cool J. Now, that's the second rapper that's a detective on another show. Do you know which the other one was? I'm going to leave that for you to figure out. 1964. And again, this is the time of year that all these TV shows premiered. 1964, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. premieres. 1976, Charlie's Angels premieres. 1982, Family Ties premieres with J. Michael Fox. 1987, Full House premieres with Bob Saget and John Stamos. 1989, Baywatch premieres. David Hasselhoff, Pamela Anderson. 1994, Friends premieres. 1999, The West Wing appeared with Martin Sheen. 2003, Two and a Half Men premieres with Charlie Sheen. 2004, Lost premieres. Oof. Yes. So again, this is that time of year where all of these TV shows, because of fall sweeps and the way TV used to be built, would be released. Now you just binge watch anything you want, whatever the hell you want. I started to watch a new series because I've caught up on everything else, my late night couch watching. Task. 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 It's a task force. Interesting. I've watched 2-3 episodes now, I guess, a couple. One was last night, so I watched it afterwards. Seems interesting. I think it's a limited series. Task. Premiered the other night when I turned it on. Jim Reeves spends 5 weeks at #1 in the UK. Distant Drums. Basically, the thing that's odd about that is I did listen to the song and I was not impressed. Sorry. I was just like, whatever, man. All right. Jim Reeves, 1966. Well, I guess 1966, the music was a little bit less fulfilling for what my musical tastes are. Anyway, what makes it so interesting is that his song went to #1 in the UK, Distant Drums, 2 years after he was killed in a plane crash. I guess, okay, I guess that's when the best time to release it, after you're dead, posthumously, right? I don't know. Maybe this will be archived, and when I'm posthumously dead, people are like, oh my God, this was so awesome. But it's worth a try, right? Humor me. Just freaking humor me. And make sure you hit like and subscribe to this. That. Damn it. Bilbo Baggins' birthday. Don't ask me, man. Okay, look, I just work here. Or, work entails that you get paid. I don't get paid, so I'm just here. All right, 1969, The Band, named The Band, released their second self-titled album, The Band, eventually known as the Brown Album. It peaked at '9. But had a couple good songs. I would scan through it. The Night That Old Dixie Died. The night they drove Old Dixie down. I even wrote it well enough to read it. I just scanned through it. And then Up on Cripple Creek. So you've heard those songs. If you listen to the band, they're good songs from the 60s. 1973, who was #1 on this day in the UK? It was the Rolling Stones. Of course it was. 73, UK, Rolling Stones. Yes. Goat's Head Soup. Dancing with Mr. D. Do, Heartbreaker, and Angie, the title song of that. That went to #1. Angie did. Heartbreaker was a great song, though. I was like, oh, yeah. Heartbreaker with Year 44. And I was like, thinking about that. I was like, wait a second. If this was released in 1973... And it almost sounds like it's talking about Son of Sam, who didn't do his killing spree till years later. So was he inspired by the Rolling Stones? I went to go dig up and see if that had any inspiration, but I don't know. Heartbreaker with Year 44. Summertime in New York City. I'm like, what? Interesting. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm just going to assume that it does. That's what made Son of Sam do it. It was rock and roll. Damn it. That rock and roll, that PMRC was right. That heavy metal. Tipper Gore, you were right again. 1973, Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On, is number one. Well, again, it's number one because it took a break because it was number one and then it was off number one and then it came back as number one. So it was number one for 2 non-consecutive weeks. Consecutive weeks is normally what I will talk about unless it's non-consecutive weeks because I have to bring that up because there's something specifically about consecutive weeks tonight. That's why. 1979, debut solo single by Gary Newman. We talked about weirdo Gary Newman the other day, who was arrested or detained in India for flying his Cessna aircraft because they thought he was a spy and smuggling drugs. He was doing neither of those things. He just was a pilot and a strange guy. But Gary Newman, on his first solo, number one, basically was number one in the U.S. and number one in the UK, number one in Canada, and number 9 in the U.S. It was the song Cars. You've heard that song. I know you've heard that song. It's one of those songs that you're like, oh yeah, Gary Newman, Cars. You haven't heard a lot of other songs because he's definitely got a strange streak. If you listen to, I saw Gary Newman play and I was like, oh yeah, I know some of the songs. Other ones I'm like, I have no idea. I was never really deep into the whole Gary Newman thing. Definitely one of those artists that you're like, okay, yeah, I kind of like Gary Newman. You know, there's songs I like. Others you're like, I have no idea what this is, where it even came from, and who the hell this is. 1984, John Waite is number one in Canada and the U.S. for Missing. It was his something about it. I think it was a single. Missing Eye thing, single. I just have a weird denotation. I'm moving on. System of the Down in 2001 topped the Billboard Charts 200 with their second LP, Toxicity. It was number one in both the U.S. and Canada. Toxicity by System of the Down. I did listen to a little System of the Down. It's like, yes, bang the head. That works. 2012, The XX, number one. At first, number one on their LP in the UK with their second LP, Coexist. I know it didn't make sense, but it was their second LP, but it was their first time as number one with an LP. It was their second LP. First one didn't do it. Second one did. I know, it gets confusing. It just does. In 2012, though, in the US, who was number one? Because the XS was number one in the UK. Who was number one here? Come on, ready? Matchbox 20. I know. Really? Matchbox 20, number one? Yeah. That's right. I mean, yeah, they, you know, it was their fourth LP, but it was their first number one, the album North, called Matchbox 20. I was like, yeah, I remember that. Okay. Yeah. What are you going to do, right? 2016, Bastille had their second album, Wildwood. It was number one in the UK, top 10 in Australia and the United States. Bastille, we had the Bastille on the radio station. They were fun. Liked their song. I could see them being number one in the UK and only number 10 in the US. They really didn't get the recognition that I think that they deserved. But that's okay. There was a lot of bands coming out at that time in there. 2021, Taylor Swift. See? You knew where I was going, right? 2018, Paul McCartney on his third LP and his solo number one from Egyptian Station. Now, that's the second number one he had, but it took 36 years between his first one, Tug of War, that came out in 1982, to his second one in 2018. 36 years he waited for another number one hit. It's got to be tough when you're Paul McCartney and you're sort of used to having that recognition, being like, I'm number one, and then 36 years go by. I mean, that's an entire career for most musicians, and then some. And Paul's still playing, still out there making it happen. Sir Paul, God bless you. 2015, Happy Birthday, the original Happy Birthday. Apparently, the copyright for it becomes invalid. And it is now in the public domain. So now you can sing Happy Birthday and not to pay royalties. You can put in movies and in TV and everything else and not pay royalties for it or have to get permissions or anything of that nature. Because apparently they screwed something up with it in the copyright. The thing that's really funny is that it was purchased for $15 million in 1988. How do you lose $15 million in less than a decade? Buy the copyright for Happy Birthday and screw that up. Eesh. Warner Music took a beating on that one. Just saying. In 2011, a British research firm found that Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody was the song most likely to be found on a Brit's iPod. 40% of surveys had it on their iPod. 40%. Which is, they didn't give a stat of how many people they surveyed, but that's still kind of crazy. This was a research firm, so I'm sure they researched a bunch of people, not just like two. But 40% had Bohemian Rhapsody on their iPod. The Beatles had 4 songs, as well as Coldplay had 4 songs. And also they found songs from U2, The Killers, and Rihanna. I was like, okay, Rihanna? I would think maybe Oasis or something. No. Those are the songs that they found most on Brit iPods. That was in 2011, though. So maybe, there was some gaps missing there for some bands. I just found it interesting. Bohemian Rhapsody, really? Who knew? I mean, clearly they did because they did the research. I didn't because I did not do the research. I only read about it this evening and shared it with you. I forget the year now. Britney Spears. Now, I will follow up with Britney Spears, not Taylor Swift. But she was charged with a hit-and-run accident and driving with no license in California. Apparently, this stems from an August 6th crash that happened in, North Beach in California. Britney was driving, decided to sideswipe a parked car, and kept right on going. I guess the people saw it was Britney, took pictures, chased her down, whatever, and prosecutors were like, what are you doing, man? What's going on here? So, yes, I didn't see what happened, but it's Britney Spears, so I'm sure she got community service like Snoop Dogg. And, a slap on the wrist. Go feed the homeless or pick up garbage or something. I don't know what the community service is. I mean, Snoop Dogg had to do 800 hours. I still have to look that up. 800 hours? The hell do you do for 800 hours of community service when you're Snoop Dogg? I just want to know. That's just blows my mind because that's a long time. Leave Britney alone. Oh, the Rolling Stones' Midnight Rambo was inspired by the Boston Strangler. All right, fair enough. Leave Britney alone. I'm leaving Britney alone. She crashed her car. I didn't crash her car. I left Taylor Swift alone. Taylor Swift, I'm like, nope. I just don't even go there. 2005, Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page is made an honorary Brazilian in Rio de Janeiro. Because apparently Jimmy Page started Casa Jimmy. I know, so inventive. Jimmy's House in 1998. And it was dedicated to housing and helping the street children of Rio de Janeiro. At the time, he had helped over 300 kids when this was in 2005. So it was 20 years ago, and I guess it's still going. So I can only imagine that he's helped thousands by now. So good job. Nice job, Jimmy Page, helping the street children of Rio de Janeiro. Apparently there's a lot. It's coming to a town and country near you. This one was bizarro. Cat Stevens which changed his name to Yusuf Islam. While flying from London's Heathrow Airport, and he was on his way to Tennessee, which was then the flight was going to go to Mexico City, where he was going to start a North American tour. The international flight was found that when it had already taken off, that he was on the no-fly list. So they detoured this thing and landed it in like Bangor, Maine, which was a military base. Cat Stevens was then, or Yusuf Islam was then escorted. Oh man, I didn't even see the timer going on that one. That's just my bad, man. That's just bad. That's just crappy. Sorry. Oops. Didn't even. That's just poor planning on my part. I apologize. I was looking for it. I tell you, sometimes I can see it. Other times the little timer hits there and I'm just SOL. Didn't even see it. Anyway, Yusuf Islam apparently was then detoured to Bangor, Maine. His band was with him. He was also with his 21-year-old daughter. The FBI then escorted him off the flight and interrogated and detained him. It basically became more of a mess because his daughter was allowed to stay, but they removed him and didn't let him go to his concert. The rest of the band wound up having to fly through Chicago, almost missed their gig entirely. There was another band on the flight. So it just became a mess. He then, I think it said he met with the, like Colin Powell, and was like, bro, why am I on the no-fly list? Blah, blah, blah. Apparently they said that some of the money that was going to him was being funneled to radical Islam. So I don't know. I don't think that was true. He just apparently was like, I have never done any of that. I changed my name and became Muslim. Is that the problem? Apparently it was the problem. So Cat Stevens, Yusuf Islam. That's what happens. Careful. 1999, Diana Ross is arrested at Heathrow Airport. Apparently, while being frisked, she said that the female security guard touched her breasts. So in retaliation, she touched hers, and they arrested her. I guess, just so you know, if TSA goes ahead and gropes you, don't grope them back. They don't like that. I mean, it wasn't TSA, because it was in Heathrow. I don't think they're called that. But still, I guess Diana Ross was not having any of that. No, sir. Do not be grabbing my boobs, and I'll be grabbing yours right back. Oh, Diana Ross, you gotta love that one. 1992, Def Leppard cancels 2 shows when their sound equipment van is found abandoned outside an attempted robbery at a store. And apparently, it was used by one of their roadies to, in fact, try and make this attempted robbery at the store. He was later charged with drug possession and criminal damage. You think drug possession? Dude, we need to go steal stuff. Let's go. Like, clearly you're not going to get busted, right? You're driving the sound truck for Def Leppard. You work for the band. No one's going to notice this thing missing, clearly. And, obviously you're going to make a clean getaway with this big old sound equipment truck. Drug charges. Yes, of course there was drug charges. What are you thinking? He did that completely sober. Stone cold sober. Best decisions are made then. Yes, poor decisions are in order for that one. Yikes. Now this is where the consecutive weeks comes into play, okay? Remember I talked about consecutive weeks earlier. 1991, Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams makes chart history. With Everything I Do for You. This marks the 12th weeks today, the 22nd of September in 1991, marks the 12th week that song is the number one single in the UK. It went on to do 4 more weeks for a total of 16 consecutive weeks at number 1, which even up to today is the longest uninterrupted number 1 in chart history in the UK. There you go. That's the difference between uninterrupted. Because apparently, a lot of times when bands go to number one, they were number one for 6 weeks. It's not consecutive. Sometimes they were number one for a week or 2 weeks, and they drop off, and they drop down to number two, number three, and then bump back up to number one. So the whole consecutive weeks thing is where it's important. Or just not. I mean, I don't know. I'd be number one for 6 weeks and on, off, on, off. Still, you were number one for 6 weeks. It doesn't diminish the fact of your number oneness. It just is consecutive. It just means that you just stayed steady. Consecutive. That's all. That's all I'm just telling you. Consecutive. That's how that works. 1990, Nirvana played its largest concert gig ever on this day. Up to that point. That's the important one. This was in the Motorsports International Garage in Seattle, Washington. 15,000 people present. In attendance, in the audience, though, was a young drummer named Dave Grohl. Dave then saw the show and auditioned for the band a few days later. How's that for you? Dave Grohl went to the show, saw the band, and then auditioned for him. And then the rest is history. We all know about Dave Grohl. From Columbus, Ohio at one point even. There you go. Dave Grohl, Columbus, Ohio connection. My spit guard. So I don't make the p. That's what this little thing is supposed to stop. Because this microphone's going to pick that up and it's going to sound all poppy. Oh, wait. What did I miss here? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, right. Okay. 1985, Neil Young performs in the first Farm Aid for 80,000 people in Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois. There's a whole thing about that, about he started it with and how many people played and blah, 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 blah. And like every day right now, like this is the time of year that the Farm Aid shows play. I usually do like, oh, this year there was this, and this year's I have not been showing the Farm Aid because it's the same bands. And with an occasional change person in the lineup. It's Willie, it's Neil, it's Dave Matthews, it's this band, it's this. I'm just like, Farm Aid, yep. It happened on this day 4 times on this day in 4 different cities and 4 different years. Farm Aid, there you go. It's still going. Willie's still punching it out there at 92 years old. Go, Willie, go. 1979, back to Def Leppard. It's their first major review, live review. Apparently this guy, a UK music melody maker, reviewed a live show. We saw them play in Wolverhampton in England with a 15-year-old drummer as the band released their first 3-track single. Didn't realize he was 15 years old when he started as a drummer in 1979. Rock of Ages. At some point, we'll get to the story where he flipped his car over and tore his arm off. Again, don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. 1972, David Bowie kicked off his North American leg of Ziggy Stardust World Tour. And you know where he kicked it off at? Cleveland, Ohio. How's that for you? It was a 1.5-year tour. He did 191 dates. Wound up doing 3 legs in the UK, 2 legs in the United States, and 1 leg in Japan. But he kicked the whole thing off, 191 shows in good old Cleveland, Ohio. Good old David Bowie. Who knew Ziggy Stardust started there? That's awesome. 1969, Free James Brown. He appeared on a new weekly TV show called The Music Scene. Set to perform was this whole litany of artists that I just didn't write down. This was getting toward the end, and I'm just like, my fingers are tired. I'm like, I'm just not writing them all down. But why don't we have that now? So that's what I want to know. Why don't we have a weekly TV show called The Music Scene? I mean, you know, Kimmel and those guys have bands on the Tonight Show and the Late Show, whatever, but there's no dedicated show for that anymore. where bands get to debut and play stuff. We should have that. Just saying. I'd be a great host for that one. Wouldn't I be a good host for that? 1967, The Doors appeared on WPIX. I right off the bat knew who that was. I was like, yeah, PIX, that's New York. I know that one. In New York City, and the Murray the K show. They played People Are Strange and Light My Fire. They did not, in fact, get in trouble, though, for using the lyrics for Baby You Couldn't Get Much Higher, as they did on the Ed Sullivan Show, where Jim pretty much told them, I'm doing as I wish, and played the lyrics as he wanted to. 1965, Grace Slick, with the band The Great Society, made her, I guess her performance debut in the San Francisco, California, at the Coffee Cabaret on North Beach. She was with her husband. I forget what his first name was, but he was like Larry Slick, I think. I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a Larry Slick. Interesting. The Slicks. She just went on to remember she was Jefferson Starship, Jefferson Airplane. That's the whole Grace Slick thing. White Rabbit, we all know that song. If you haven't heard that song, you've been living in a cave, because they play that everywhere. I think I hear that at Lowe's even. You know, one of those things. 1964, Herman's Hermits are number one in the UK for 3 weeks with their single, I'm Into Something Good. And it was their only number one in the UK ever. It was also a cover. They didn't write that. I was like, how about? I was like, yeah, I have heard that song because I played it. I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard that. It's definitely very poppy, very 1964-y, very British. So you have to listen to it if you really want to hear what a 1964 British. Whoops, sorry, I don't want to end my stream yet. Not yet, please. Drop my notebook right on, apparently. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. There you go. Not yet. I'm not ending yet. Close. Lastly, on my pre-written things is 1958, Elvis gets special permission from the U.S. Army to do a final press conference before he boards the USS General Randall bound for Bernhauser, Germany, as he is inducted into the Army and joining the 3rd Armored Division. There's a whole thing about how he was going to get special treatment, and if you ever saw the Elvis movie with Colonel Tom Parker, played by Tom Hanks, it's apparently a pretty good depiction of Colonel Parker. He basically, Elvis was going to get drafted. He turned 21 and gets drafted within 8 months into the Army. They was going to give him special services, so he was just going to perform whatever. And Parker didn't want him to do that because for the fact that any of the songs or any of the movies and the films and everything would be property of the U.S. Army, and they could resell it and use it how they wanted to. So he had plotted to and lied to Elvis and said, oh yeah, you'll get special service, you'll get special service, you'll get special services the whole time. All the time knowing that he was not going to do that. He was going to make him enlist in normal Army. Because again, he didn't want somebody else to be able to capitalize on any of the stuff that Elvis did that he would not make money from. I mean, it wasn't all about Elvis money. Colonel Tom was definitely, making money for himself as well as Elvis. Taking advantage of slightly, let's put it that way. So there's a whole thing that, people wanted Elvis to go into the Army. He was a bad boy, and parents hated him. Kids loved him. The media loved him. Parents hated him. He's bad, and rock and roll's terrible, and blah, 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 and all of that. So he went to the Army, and he declined special services. He did get a deferred entry because that's when he shot that movie, King Creole. I guess he wanted to do it very seriously as his best acting foot forward so that he could come back from the Army after 2 years and have a career. But of course, the legendary Elvis did not suffer many ills while he was gone. He did spend the entire 2 whole years in the Army overseas. So when he came back, he jumped right back into it in 1960 and was off and running And as you know, we had Elvis around until he dropped dead in, 1977, I believe. Anyway, that's the story of Elvis for you right there. That was my 3 pages tonight, all of 40 minutes. See, that's about right. It takes about 30 minutes. And I know it takes me a while to write this stuff. I have to dig through all of these websites to find all these little tidbits and things. By the way, that's me, where I co-starred and cameoed on Hines, Verified with Stephen He. Day tripping. Yeah, I know. Go watch it. At some point, I'm going to go look at the reviews again. I just haven't had time to. I've been so busy. I'm just working way too much trying to get this stuff done. Remember, I don't get paid unless I work. So that's all I can do. Hey, and guess what? 87 days. One more day down that the building wasn't broken into. That's now become my ritual. I get to go do that every single morning now. I get up, I get in the car, and I drive down to the X radio station building to do a walk around to make sure nobody's vandalized or broken in once again. Yay! I love this so much. It's just like, what am I paying my penance for? Who exactly did I piss off? Because if the karma wheel is ticking around, the old prize wheel is like tick, 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 tick. Man, I'm not asking for sympathy. It's just like, Jesus. I just, it's, you can't, forget it. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to let that completely go. There's absolutely no reason to go there, so I won't. All right. I don't know. There's music I want to go see this week, but I'm not going to buy tickets because I don't have money for it right now. Yeah, that's the way that works. Such is life, right? Very different, very different. Anyway, so that was music history for the evening. That was your lesson for the day on all things music that happened on this day, the 22nd of September, the first day of fall, episode 114, pointing our way toward 200, which will probably be right around the consummation and the sale of the building for the radio station, which I'm eagerly anticipating. Not eagerly anticipating my life, I don't really want to rush the life away, but yeah, I really want to get rid of the building. That would be nice. I could just take it off my list of things that are hanging over my head, like these light bulbs that I probably will never use again since I have all these LEDs now. Anyway, I will let you all go. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it greatly. I was looking for theme music tonight, and wow, it's really hard to find theme music that I can use. And I was looking for all these free press clippings I can use for, and I'm running into this whole, block of copyright. Oh, there he is. There's Mr. Cricket. My copyright. I want to make sure that, when I do this, I push this button, that I don't have something that's copywritten, and then I get dinged by YouTube, and then they wind up taking the whole channel down. Because then all those videos would vanish. Because these are irrelevant. It's all the music videos on this channel that are the ones that people want to see. Not me so much. Why do you think I jumped on this one? Duh. Anyway, have a lovely evening. Thank you so much. I'll look for you again tomorrow, and we'll do this all again, but completely different. Or not. We fade to black. Theme music. Guess we will have to write one. Yes! Yes! Gello! No! Text me. Oh, congratulations on the new job.